The fluorescent lights of the 24-hour gas station buzzed like angry insects, casting sickly yellow pools across cracked asphalt that smelled of gasoline and desperation. My hands shook as I tried to jam the nozzle into my tank, the metal slipping against metal in a rhythm that matched my racing heartbeat. Just pump the gas and go. Just get home to Lily. My 1998 Honda Civic coughed when I'd pulled in 10 minutes ago, that terrible rattling sound that meant something expensive was about to break. Something I couldn't afford to fix. Not with Lily's medications eating through every paycheck, not with the medical bills stacking up like accusations on my kitchen counter. The car just needed to last 6 more months. 6 more months until Lily finished her treatment and maybe I could breathe again. The pump clicked at $15. That's all I could spare. $15 to get me through the next 3 days of double shifts at the diner, of pretending my smile wasn't held together with exhausted hope and mounting panic. I was replacing the nozzle when I saw the headlights. Silver BMW, the one I'd memorized from 3 months of looking over my shoulder. The one that appeared outside my apartment at odd hours, that followed me to work, that sat in parking lots like a predator waiting for the right moment. My stomach dropped as Tyler's car pulled into the gas station, blocking the exit with deliberate precision. No. Not here. Not tonight. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. I dove back into my car, keys already in my trembling hand. But my Civic was old, the engine slow to turn over, and Tyler was out of his BMW before I could even get the key in the ignition. His knock on my window made me jump, my phone clattering to the floor. Maya. His voice was muffled through the glass, but I heard the edge underneath. That careful control that had once seemed like maturity but was actually something much darker. Open the door. We need to talk. I don't want to talk. My voice came out stronger than I felt, thank God for small mercies. Leave me alone, Tyler. I've asked you to leave me alone. Baby, don't be like this. He tried the door handle. Locked. I'd locked it the second I saw his car. 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes to explain. 3 months since I'd ended things. 3 months since I'd finally gathered the courage to tell him that his concern felt like surveillance, that his protection felt like control, that the way he showed up uninvited and monitored my phone and questioned every friendship had transformed love into a cage I couldn't live in anymore. 3 months, and he still acted like he had the right to my time, my attention, my life. I've heard your explanations. I fumbled for my phone, finding it wedged under the passenger seat. I'm calling the police if you don't leave. The police. His laugh was sharp, brittle. And tell them what? That your boyfriend is trying to talk to you at a gas station. That's not illegal, Maya. Conversation isn't a crime. Ex-boyfriend, I wanted to scream. You're my ex-boyfriend. But engaging would only encourage him, would give him the opening he was searching for. I found my phone, pulled up the emergency screen with shaking fingers. Tyler's hand slammed against my window hard enough to make me cry out. Not breaking it, never breaking anything. Tyler was too smart for that. But the violence beneath the control was becoming harder for him to hide. You can't just throw away 2 years. His face was close to the glass now, close enough that I could see the familiar features twisted into something desperate and ugly. You can't just decide we're done without giving me a chance to fix this. That's not how relationships work, Maya. You don't get to quit without my permission. My permission. Like I was something he owned. Like my life, my choices, my future required his authorization. The gas station was deserted at 2 in the morning, just me and Tyler and the indifferent buzz of fluorescent lights. The attendant was inside behind bulletproof glass, probably watching but unwilling to get involved. The few security cameras pointed in directions that wouldn't capture this particular corner of the lot. Tyler had chosen his moment well. He always did. I'm leaving now. I turned the key. The engine coughed, sputtered, died. No. Not now. Please not now. Tyler, move your car. Not until we talk. Not until you listen to what I have to say. He moved to stand in front of my hood, arms crossed. blocking me in. You owe me that much. I owed him nothing. Less than nothing. But fear was a cold weight in my chest, pressing against my lungs until breathing hurt. I was trapped between his BMW behind me and his body in front of me, in a gas station at 2 in the morning with a car that wouldn't start and a phone that showed no bars because of course this corner of Los Angeles had terrible reception. I tried the engine again. It coughed, rattled, refused to catch. Tyler's smile grew wider. He'd probably planned this somehow, probably knew my car was dying, probably waited for exactly this kind of moment when I'd be most vulnerable. Having car trouble. His voice was solicitous now, concerned boyfriend offering help. I can give you a ride home. We can talk on the way. Sort this out like adults. Getting in Tyler's car would be the biggest mistake of my life. I knew that with bone-deep certainty. Whatever happened in that BMW wouldn't be a conversation. It would be him driving in circles until he broke down my resistance, until exhaustion made me agree to things I didn't want, until I was back in the cage I'd fought so hard to escape. I'll call a tow truck. My voice shook despite my best efforts. Just leave, Tyler. Please. A tow truck you can't afford. He leaned against my hood now, settling in. I know about Lily's medical bills. I know you're working doubles. I know you can barely keep the lights on. Let me help you, Maya. Let me back in. We were good together. We were never good together. I'd just been too tired to see it, too isolated to recognize the patterns, too focused on Lily's illness to notice how completely Tyler had wrapped himself around my life like a vine choking a tree. The sound of an engine cut through the night. Deep, powerful, expensive. Not Tyler's BMW but something else entirely. A black Mercedes pulled into the gas station, all sleek lines and tinted windows that reflected the sickly fluorescent light. Tyler straightened, irritation crossing his face. The Mercedes parked at the pump beside mine, close enough that Tyler had to step back from my hood to avoid being blocked in himself. The driver's door opened and a man emerged who made everything else in that gas station, the buzzing lights, Tyler's BMW, my dying Civic, seemed suddenly insignificant. He was tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair styled with the kind of casual perfection that suggested professional attention. His suit was charcoal gray, expensive in a way that didn't need labels to announce itself. Even at 2 in the morning, he looked like he'd just stepped out of a boardroom or a magazine spread. But it was his eyes that stopped my breath. Dark, assessing, with an intensity that seemed to catalog everything in a single glance. They swept over the scene, Tyler blocking my car, me trapped inside, the tension crackling between us like electricity before a storm. Something shifted in his expression. Not quite anger, but something cold and calculating that made the hair on my arm stand up. Evening, he said, his voice carrying an accent I couldn't quite place. Italian maybe, or something Mediterranean, softened by years in America but still present in certain syllables. He nodded to Tyler with polite disinterest, then moved to the pump. Tyler watched him with obvious suspicion, that territorial instinct that had driven me away now focused on this stranger. But the man paid him no attention, simply began filling his tank with the calm efficiency of someone accustomed to being obeyed without question. I tried the ignition again. The engine coughed, sputtered, almost caught. Come on. Please. Need some help. The stranger's voice made me jump. He'd moved closer without me noticing, now standing just a few feet from my window. Up close, he was even more striking, sharp cheekbones, strong jaw with a shadow of stubble, and those dark eyes that seemed to see straight through me. She's fine. Tyler stepped forward, inserting himself between me and the stranger. Just having a conversation. Nothing to do with you. Wasn't asking you. The stranger's tone didn't change, still polite, but something underneath made Tyler hesitate. Ma'am, do you need assistance? The question hung in the night air. I could say no, could pretend this was just car trouble and a persistent ex-boyfriend. Could try to handle this myself like I'd been handling everything myself for months. Or I could take the lifeline this stranger was offering. My car won't start, I said, loud enough to be heard through the closed window. And he won't move his car so I can call a tow truck. The stranger's gaze moved to Tyler with new assessment. That your BMW blocking her in. Like I said, we're having a conversation. Private conversation. Tyler's posture had gone defensive, aggressive. She's my girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend, I corrected, finding courage in the stranger's presence. I ended things 3 months ago. He won't accept it. I see. The stranger pulled out his phone, pressed a button. Marco. I'm at the Chevron on Sunset and Vine. Need you to arrange a tow for a Honda Civic. Yes, now. Also have a situation that requires your particular skills. Tyler's face reddened. Who the hell do you think you are? You can't just. I think I'm someone who doesn't like seeing women trapped in gas stations at 2 in the morning. The stranger pocketed his phone, his attention fully on Tyler now. I think I'm someone who's going to give you one opportunity to move your car and leave this young woman alone. Or what? Tyler laughed, but it sounded hollow. You'll call the cops. I'm not doing anything illegal. No cops. The stranger's smile was cold. Just a conversation. The kind where I explain what happens to men who corner women in parking lots. The kind where you understand, very clearly, that continuing to harass this particular woman will have consequences you won't enjoy. Tyler's hands clenched into fists. For a moment, I thought he might actually try to fight, might let his anger override his usual calculated control. But something in the stranger's stance, relaxed but ready, dangerous despite the expensive suit, made him reconsider. This isn't over, Maya, Tyler said, backing toward his BMW. You can't just end 2 years because some white knight shows up. This is exactly over. The stranger moved slightly, placing himself between Tyler's car and mine. And I'm not a white knight. I'm simply someone who happened to need gas at the right time. Or perhaps the wrong time, depending on your perspective. Tyler got in his BMW, slammed the door hard enough to rock the frame. He reversed with angry precision, tires squealing as he peeled out of the gas station and onto Sunset Boulevard. The sound of his engine faded into the Los Angeles night, leaving me alone with a stranger who just made my ex-boyfriend disappear with nothing but presence and carefully chosen words. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt like I'd jumped from one dangerous situation into something potentially more complicated. The stranger approached my window again, his movements deliberately non-threatening. You can unlock the door now. Tyler's gone. How do you know his name? My hand stayed on the lock button. You said it. 3 times during your conversation. He smiled slightly. I pay attention to details. It's a professional necessity. Professional necessity. What kind of profession required that level of attention at 2 in the morning in a gas station? Against every instinct screaming that I should stay locked in my car until help arrived, I unlocked the door and stepped out. My legs were shaking, adrenaline finally catching up with fear that had been building for the past 20 minutes. Thank you, I said, wrapping my arms around myself despite the warm Los Angeles night. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't shown up. Nothing good. His eyes swept over me, assessing in a way that felt clinical rather than predatory. How long has he been following you? 3 months. Since I ended things. The admission felt like defeat. He shows up at my work, at my apartment. Always with excuses, forgot something, wants closure, just wants to talk. But it's getting worse. Tonight was the first time he's physically blocked me in. Escalation pattern. The stranger pulled out his phone again, this time taking a photo of my license plate. May I? Why do you need my license plate? So the tow truck knows which car to take. Also so I can ensure you get home safely. He met my eyes. I'm not trying to frighten you. I'm trying to help. But you're right to be cautious. Smart women don't trust strange men in parking lots, even ones who chase away ex-boyfriends. There was something disarming about his honesty. He wasn't pretending to be harmless. He was acknowledging the strangeness of this situation while still offering help. I'm Maya, I offered. Maya Torres. Dante. He extended his hand and I shook it, noting the firm grip, the expensive watch on his wrist, the calluses that suggested his hands did more than sign papers. Dante Moretti. Italian. Family is several generations back. I'm American through and through, though my mother insists on teaching me the old ways. His smile was brief but genuine. Your car. It's dying. Has been for months. I just need it to last a little longer. I looked at my Civic with something close to desperation. I can't afford a new one right now. Financial pressure. He said it carefully, like he was testing the words. Medical bills. My sister. I didn't know why I was telling him this. Maybe because he'd saved me from Tyler. Maybe because exhaustion had stripped away my usual filters. She's sick. The treatments are expensive. The car just needs to hold on 6 more months. Dante was quiet for a moment, that same assessing look he'd given Tyler now focused on me. The tow truck will be here in 10 minutes. Where do you live? I'll give you a ride home. I don't know you. The words came out automatically. No, you don't. But you're stranded at a gas station at 2 in the morning with a stalker ex-boyfriend who now knows your car is unreliable. Your options are limited. He gestured to his Mercedes. I'm offering safe transport. Nothing more. Why would you help me? You don't know me either. Because I don't like men who corner women in parking lots. Something dark flickered in his eyes. Because I have resources and you need help, and the intersection of those two facts seems providential. Because, he paused. Because something about this situation bothers me, and I'd like to ensure it resolves without you getting hurt. It was the honesty that decided me. Not the expensive car or the confident demeanor or even the way he'd made Tyler disappear. It was the acknowledgement that this was strange, that I should be cautious, that he was offering help while respecting my right to refuse it. Okay, I heard myself say. Thank you. A white tow truck pulled into the station 15 minutes later, the driver greeting Dante by name. They discussed something in low tones while I transferred my purse and phone charger from the Civic, the last remnants of my independence disappearing onto a flatbed truck heading for a repair shop I probably couldn't afford. Dante held open the passenger door of his Mercedes. The interior smelled of leather and something expensive, cologne maybe, or just the scent of wealth I'd never been close enough to recognize. I slid into a seat that probably cost more than 3 months of my rent. Address? Dante asked as he started the engine. It purred to life like a satisfied cat, so different from my Civic's death rattle. I gave him my address in Echo Park, watching his face for reaction. My neighborhood wasn't dangerous exactly, but it wasn't Beverly Hills either. Dante simply nodded and pulled out of the gas station. We drove in silence for the first few minutes, Los Angeles rolling past the windows in its late-night emptiness. The city looked different from inside a Mercedes, softer somehow, less hostile. Tell me about Tyler, Dante said finally. Everything. How you met, how it ended, why he won't let go. That's a lot of personal information for a stranger. I'm not asking out of curiosity. I'm asking because men like Tyler are predictable once you understand their psychology. He glanced at me briefly before returning his eyes to the road. And if I'm going to help you, I need to know what I'm dealing with. Help me how? My voice came out smaller than intended. You already helped. You made him leave. Maya. The way he said my name made something in my chest tighten. Tyler will come back. Men like him always do. Tonight was embarrassing for him, challenged by another man, forced to retreat. That humiliation will fester. He'll return, probably angrier, definitely more determined to reassert control. The cold accuracy of the prediction made me shiver despite the warm car. So what am I supposed to do? Live in fear forever? No. You're supposed to let me handle it. I turned to look at him properly. In profile, Dante was striking, all sharp angles and controlled power, like a Renaissance sculpture brought to life and dressed in Tom Ford. Handle it how? By making very clear to Tyler that continuing to pursue you will have consequences he can't afford. Dante's hands were relaxed on the steering wheel, his voice conversational. By ensuring he understands you are under protection now. By removing you from his reach so completely that attempting contact becomes impossible. You're talking about threatening him. I'm talking about reality. Sometimes threats are necessary. Sometimes they're the only language certain people understand. He pulled up to a red light, turning to face me fully. I can make Tyler disappear from your life, Maya. Completely. No more parking lot confrontations, no more showing up at your work, no more 3 months of looking over your shoulder. Just gone. And what do you want in return? There it was, the question I'd been circling since he first offered help. Nobody gave away something this valuable without expecting payment. Dante smiled, slow and knowing. Smart question. I want your trust for the next 8 months. My trust? I want you to play a role for me. Nothing physical, nothing inappropriate. Simply appear at certain functions as my companion. Let people see us together. Be seen with me publicly in a way that suggests we're involved. My stomach twisted. You want me to pretend to be your girlfriend? I want you to pretend to be someone I'm interested in pursuing. Whether that becomes girlfriend or simply remains ambiguous companion, the details don't matter. What matters is perception. The light changed and he drove on, but his attention remained partly on me. I have business associates who expect me to be settling down. Family who ask uncomfortable questions. Ex-girlfriends who haven't quite accepted that we're finished. Having someone new in my life would solve several problems simultaneously. So I'm convenient. You're perfect. He corrected gently. You're real, genuine, with none of the calculation that comes with women who'd normally pursue men in my position. You're not interested in my money, you just want Tyler gone and your sister healthy. That authenticity is exactly what I need. For 8 months. For 8 months. After which Tyler will have moved on, your sister will be finished with treatment based on your timeline, and you'll have enough money saved to start over without drowning in debt. He glanced at me again. I pay well, Maya. Very well. Consider it employment rather than arrangement. Employment pretending to date you. Employment being seen with me. Attending dinners, maybe a few charity events. Letting photographers capture us together. Being yourself while I stand beside you. His voice dropped lower. 8 months of your time in exchange for freedom from Tyler and financial security for your family. That's the deal. We'd reached my building, a tired apartment complex with peeling paint and security gates that never quite closed properly. Dante pulled to the curb, putting the car in park but not cutting the engine. I don't know you, I said finally. This could be worse than Tyler. This could be dangerous in ways I can't even see yet. It could be, he agreed. I'm not going to lie to you and claim I'm harmless. I'm not. My world has edges that would cut someone like you if you're not careful. But I promise you this, I will never hurt you. Never control you. Never make you feel caged the way Tyler did. Whatever role you play in my life will have clear boundaries, clear rules, and your safety will be my absolute priority. Why? The question burst out. Why would you do this for a stranger? Dante was quiet for a long moment, his dark eyes studying me with that same intense focus. Because I saw you in that gas station, terrified and trapped, and something in me responded. Because I have the resources to fix your problem and you have what I need. Because, he paused. Because I'm tired of artifice, Maya. Tired of women who want what I represent rather than who I am. You looked at me like I was just a man helping another person. That's rare enough to be precious. The explanation felt honest in a way I didn't expect. We sat in his idling Mercedes while I weighed impossible choices. Stay as I was, vulnerable to Tyler with mounting debts and a dying car. Or step into Dante's world, whatever that meant, and trade one kind of uncertainty for another. I need to think about it, I said finally. Of course. He reached into his jacket pocket, producing a business card. Simple, elegant, just a name and phone number. Take your time. But Maya. Don't take too long. Tyler will be back. And next time, I might not be there. I took the card, feeling the expensive card stock between my fingers. Thank you for tonight. For helping me. Get inside safely. Lock your door. And call me when you've decided. He waited until I'd exited the car, then added, Maya. For what it's worth, I hope you call. I watched his Mercedes pull away, taillights disappearing into the Los Angeles night. Then I climbed 3 flights of stairs to my apartment where Lily was sleeping, medications lined up on the kitchen counter like soldiers, medical bills stacked beside them like accusations. I looked at Dante's card for a long time before tucking it into my wallet. 8 months of pretending in exchange for freedom and security. 8 months with a dangerous stranger who'd appeared at exactly the right moment. 8 months that would either save me or destroy me in ways Tyler never could. I fell asleep thinking about dark eyes and expensive suits and the way Dante had said my name like it meant something. I didn't call Dante for 3 days. 3 days of double shifts at the diner, my feet aching and shoes held together with duct tape and hope. 3 days of checking over my shoulder every time I walked to the bus stop, every time I turned a corner, every time a silver BMW appeared in traffic. 3 days of pretending to Lily that everything was fine while medical bills multiplied on our kitchen counter like malignant cells. Tyler texted 47 times. I knew because I counted them before blocking his number for the 3rd time in 3 months. He'd just get a new phone, a new number, a new way to reach me. He always did. The messages followed a predictable pattern. Apologies for coming on too strong at the gas station. Explanations about how much he loved me. Questions about who the man in the Mercedes was. Thinly veiled threats about what might happen if I was seeing someone else while we were still working through things. We weren't working through anything. There was no we. But Tyler had never let reality interfere with the narrative he'd constructed. On the 4th morning, I found him waiting outside the diner when I arrived for my 6 a.m. shift. He was leaning against his BMW, coffee in hand, wearing the expensive casual clothes his parents' money bought. He looked tired, dark circles under his eyes suggesting he'd been losing sleep. Good. Let him suffer a fraction of what he'd put me through. Maya. He pushed off the car as I approached. Please. Just 5 minutes. No. I tried to walk past him toward the diner's employee entrance. He blocked my path. Not touching me, never touching where cameras might see, but close enough that I'd have to physically push past him to get by. I'm not leaving until you hear me out. Then you'll be standing here a long time. My hand found my phone in my apron pocket. Not to call the police, Tyler was right that they couldn't do anything about a man talking to his ex-girlfriend in public. But maybe to call the one person who'd proven he could make Tyler leave. Is it him? Tyler's voice dropped, anger bleeding through the careful control. The guy from the gas station. Are you fucking him? Is that why you won't talk to me? That's none of your business. I tried again to move past him. This time his hand shot out, gripping my wrist. Not hard enough to bruise, never hard enough to bruise, but firm enough to communicate that I wasn't going anywhere until he allowed it. Everything about you is my business. 2 years, Maya. You don't just throw away 2 years. His face was too close now, his breath coffee stale. I know you're scared. I know you think you need to be independent because of Lily. But I can help. I want to help. Just let me back in. My vision narrowed, the street around us fading until it was just Tyler's hand on my wrist, his face too close, his words wrapping around me like chains. This was how it had always been, concern disguised as control, help that came with strings attached, love that felt like drowning. Let go of me. My voice shook but held firm. Now. Or what? You'll call your rich boyfriend? Tyler's laugh was ugly. You think he actually cares about you? You think someone who drives a Mercedes gives a shit about a waitress with a dying sister? He's using you, Maya. Whatever he's offering, he's using you. Maybe Tyler was right. Maybe Dante was using me. But at least Dante had been honest about it. At least Dante had offered a transaction with clear terms instead of disguising control as affection. I pulled out my phone with my free hand, scrolling to Dante's number. I hadn't called it yet, had spent 3 days staring at his contact information while debating impossible choices. But Tyler's hand on my wrist made the decision simple. I hit call. Dante answered on the 2nd ring. Maya. His voice was warm, pleased. I was beginning to think you wouldn't call. He's here. My voice came out smaller than intended. Outside my work. He has his hand on my wrist and he won't let go. The warmth in Dante's voice vanished, replaced by something cold and sharp. Where exactly are you? Sunrise Diner on Melrose. The employee entrance on the side street. Tyler's grip tightened as he realized who I was talking to. He's right in front of me. I'm 15 minutes away. Can you get inside the diner? He's blocking the door. Then stay on the phone with me. Don't hang up. Let him hear every word. Dante's voice dropped to something dangerously soft. Tyler. I assume you can hear me. You're going to remove your hand from Maya's wrist right now. You're going to step back. And you're going to be gone before I arrive in, a pause, 14 minutes. Because if I find you there when I arrive, we're going to have a very different kind of conversation. Tyler's face reddened. Who the fuck do you think you are? I think I'm the person Maya called when she needed help. I think I'm someone who keeps his promises. And I promised Maya that you'd disappear from her life completely. There was no anger in Dante's voice, just cold certainty. 13 minutes, Tyler. I'd suggest you use them wisely. You can't threaten me. I'll call the cops. Please do. I'd enjoy explaining to them why you're preventing a young woman from entering her workplace, why you're gripping her wrist despite her clear request to let go, why you've been harassing her for 3 months. The sound of Dante's engine revving came through the phone. 12 minutes. I'm not stopping for red lights. Tyler released my wrist like it had burned him. But he didn't leave, didn't get in his BMW and drive away. Instead, he backed up slightly, creating just enough space for me to technically reach the door while still maintaining his blocking presence. This isn't over, he said, loud enough for Dante to hear. You can't just replace me with some rich asshole and pretend 2 years meant nothing. I'm not replacing you with anyone. I'm moving forward with my life. That's what people do when relationships end. I moved toward the door, keeping my phone to my ear, Dante's presence on the other end feeling like armor. You need to do the same. I decide when we're done. Not you. Tyler's mask was slipping now, the careful control he always maintained cracking to reveal the anger underneath. I decide when it's over. No, Dante's voice cut through, sharp as a blade. She decided 3 months ago. You just haven't accepted it. But you're going to accept it now because in 11 minutes I'm going to arrive and we're going to have the kind of conversation that clarifies your understanding permanently. The diner's back door opened and Marcus, the morning cook, stuck his head out. Maya. You coming in or what? We got early customers already. I'm coming. I slipped past Tyler, moving quickly toward Marcus and safety. Tyler started to follow but Marcus, all 6'4" and 250 pounds of him, stepped fully outside. She said she's coming in, man. You waiting for someone else? Marcus crossed his arms, his stance making it clear he'd seen what was happening and didn't approve. Tyler hesitated, caught between his need to maintain control and the reality of an audience that would remember him causing a scene. Tell your boyfriend I'm not afraid of him, he said finally. Tell him he doesn't know who he's fucking with. Actually, Dante's voice came through my phone, calm and conversational. I know exactly who I'm dealing with. Tyler Walsh, age 28, lives at 2247 Oakwood Avenue, apartment 3B. Parents are Robert and Susan Walsh of Brentwood. Works intermittently in his father's real estate firm. No criminal record, but 3 previous girlfriends have mentioned concerning behavior in social media posts that were quickly deleted. You're predictable, Tyler. Men like you always are. The color drained from Tyler's face. You're insane. You're both insane. 9 minutes, Dante said. I'd suggest being gone in 8. Tyler got in his BMW, slammed the door hard enough to rock the frame, and peeled out with the angry squeal of expensive tires on asphalt. Marcus watched him go, then looked at me with concern carved into his weathered face. You okay, girl? That fool been bothering you? I'm okay now. Thank you, Marcus. He didn't look convinced. You need me to walk you to your car after shift, you let me know. I don't have a car right now. It's in the shop. Then I'll walk you to the bus stop. That boy had crazy in his eyes. Marcus held the door open. Get inside. And whoever's on that phone, you might want to keep his number handy. I stepped into the diner's familiar chaos, the clatter of dishes, the sizzle of bacon on the griddle, the smell of coffee and hash browns and normalcy. Dante. He's gone. I'm still coming. His voice remained tense. We need to talk, Maya. About what happens next. I have a shift. I can't just leave. What time are you finished? 2 o'clock. But then I have my second shift at. Not today, you don't. The absolute certainty in his voice made me stop walking. Today you're calling in sick to your second job. Today you're meeting me so we can finalize our arrangement. Because Tyler just demonstrated exactly why you need my protection. I can't just call in sick. I need the money. I'll cover whatever you would have made today plus 50%. Consider it a signing bonus. I heard his car's engine decelerate slightly. 2 o'clock. I'll be parked outside the diner. We'll go somewhere private where we can discuss terms properly. Dante, I haven't actually agreed to anything yet. You called me. That was agreement enough. His voice softened slightly. But if you want to refuse, if you want to handle Tyler on your own, I'll respect that choice. I'll still make sure he understands that bothering you is unwise, no strings attached. The offer of protection stands regardless of whether you accept my proposition. The kindness underneath the control made something in my chest ache. Tyler had always claimed his surveillance was kindness too, his jealousy proof of love, his restrictions meant to keep me safe. But there was a difference I was only beginning to understand. Tyler's protection came with chains. Dante's came with choices. 2 o'clock, I agreed quietly. I'll be ready. Good. And Maya. Lock the diner's doors during shift. Make sure Marcus knows to keep an eye out. Tyler might come back before I can put permanent measures in place. You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. Not of me, never of me. But of what Tyler might do if humiliated again. He paused. I won't let him hurt you. That's a promise. But until the protection is in place, you need to be careful. The line went dead. I stared at my phone for a long moment, then tucked it away and tied on my apron. 4 hours until 2 o'clock. 4 hours until my life changed completely or I found the courage to walk away from a man who might be just as dangerous as the one I was running from. The lunch rush was brutal. Every table full, every customer demanding, my feet screaming in their duct-taped shoes. But underneath the physical exhaustion ran a current of anticipation mixed with fear. 2 o'clock approached like a deadline I wasn't sure I wanted to meet. At 1:50, I changed out of my uniform in the bathroom, pulling on the jeans and faded t-shirt I'd worn to work. My reflection looked tired, dark circles under my eyes, my hair escaping its ponytail in wisps that suggested I'd been running all day. Which I had been, in more ways than one. Dante's Mercedes was parked exactly where he said it would be, gleaming black perfection among the tired cars and delivery trucks that lined Melrose. He leaned against the hood, wearing dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows. Somehow he made casual look expensive, like even his relaxation was curated. His eyes found mine immediately and something in his expression shifted. Not quite a smile, but something warmer than his usual control. You look exhausted, he observed as I approached. 6-hour shift on 3 hours of sleep tends to do that. I stopped a few feet away, suddenly uncertain. So. We're doing this. If you're ready. If you're sure. He straightened, moving to open the passenger door. I meant what I said, Maya. You can still walk away. No judgment, no consequences. I'll still make sure Tyler leaves you alone. Why? The question burst out. Why would you help me without getting anything in return? Because I can. Because you need it. Because, he paused, something vulnerable flickering in his dark eyes. Because when I saw you trapped in that gas station, something in me responded. And I've learned to trust those instincts. I got in the car. The decision felt both momentous and inevitable, like stepping off a cliff while trusting someone I barely knew would catch me. Dante drove us to a restaurant I'd seen in magazines but never thought I'd enter. The kind of place where lunch cost more than my weekly grocery budget, where beautiful people in expensive clothes discussed important things over wine that probably cost more than my rent. We were seated in a private corner, the kind of table that suggested Dante was a regular customer who merited special treatment. A server appeared immediately with water and menus I couldn't begin to decode. "Order whatever you want," Dante said, noting my hesitation. "When was the last time you ate something that wasn't from the diner?" "I eat at the diner all the time." "Employee discount?" "That's not what I asked." He closed his menu, giving me his full attention. "When was the last time someone cooked for you? When was the last meal you didn't have to think about the cost of?" The question made my throat tight. "I don't remember." "Then start remembering now." He gestured to the menu. "This is part of what I'm offering, Maya. Not just protection from Tyler, but relief from the constant calculation. 8 months where you don't have to count every dollar, where you can breathe without drowning in debt. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one." I ordered something that looked simple enough that I wouldn't embarrass myself eating it. Dante ordered with the ease of someone who'd done this 1,000 times, his Italian accent strengthening slightly as he discussed wine pairings with the server. When we were alone again, he pulled out a folder I hadn't noticed he'd been carrying. I had my lawyers draw up a contract. Basic terms we discussed, but formalized. I want you to read it carefully, ask questions about anything unclear. The contract was surprisingly straightforward. 8 months of public appearances as his companion. Attendance at specified functions, approximately 6 per month initially, declining to 3 per month after the relationship was established. Living arrangements included if I wanted them, though not required. Financial compensation that made my breath catch, enough to cover Lily's medical bills entirely, enough to save, enough to start over when this ended. "This is too much," I said, looking up from the numbers. "Just for appearing at parties with you. It's appropriate compensation for your time and the risk you're taking." Dante sipped his water, his expression serious. "Being associated with me comes with consequences, Maya. Scrutiny, gossip, possibly danger if my business rivals decide you're worth using as leverage. You deserve to be paid well for accepting those risks." "What kind of business are you in, exactly?" "Import-export primarily. Real estate development. Hospitality investments." He listed them like items on a grocery list. "My family has varied interests across multiple sectors." "That's a politician's answer." "You didn't actually tell me anything." His smile was brief but genuine. "Observant. My family's business exists in spaces where legal and less legal overlap. We don't traffic in anything that harms innocents, no drugs, no exploitation, nothing that preys on the vulnerable. But we operate with flexibility regarding regulations that we find unnecessarily restrictive." "You're telling me you're connected to organized crime." "I'm telling you my family has connections that span multiple generations and multiple interpretations of appropriate business conduct." He met my eyes steadily. "I want you informed, Maya. I want you making this choice with full understanding of what you're stepping into. I'm not a good man by conventional standards. But I keep my word absolutely, and I protect what's mine. I'm not yours." "Not yet," he agreed. "But for the next 8 months, you'll be under my protection. Which means anyone who threatens you threatens what I've claimed responsibility for." "That's what I mean." The food arrived before I could respond. It was delicious in a way I'd almost forgotten food could be: complex, thoughtfully prepared, seasoned with care instead of just salt and desperation. I ate slowly, trying to make sense of the man across from me who spoke so casually about organized crime while ensuring I had extra bread. "The living arrangements," I said finally, setting down my fork. "The contract says they're optional but included." "What does that mean?" "It means I have a penthouse with more space than I use. You're welcome to stay there if you'd like, separate bedroom, complete privacy, your own key. Or you can keep your apartment and I'll ensure security is in place." He paused. But Maya, your apartment isn't safe. Tyler knows where you live. If you stay there, you'll be vulnerable despite my protection. So you're saying I need to move in with you? I'm saying it's the most secure option. But the choice is yours. He pulled out another card, this one with an address. At minimum, go look at the space before deciding. See if you could be comfortable there. Then choose. The server cleared our plates, offered dessert which I declined despite Dante's encouragement. When we were alone again, he leaned forward slightly. I need an answer, Maya. Not today necessarily, but soon. Tyler's escalation pattern is accelerating. The scene this morning won't be the end of it, it will embolden him. Men like Tyler interpret intervention as challenge rather than deterrent. How do you know so much about men like Tyler? Because I've spent my life studying patterns. Understanding what drives people, what frightens them, what makes them act or retreat. His dark eyes held mine. It's necessary in my line of work. Reading people, predicting behavior, staying 3 moves ahead. And what do you see when you read me? Someone exhausted from fighting alone. Someone brave enough to leave a bad situation but terrified she might not survive the aftermath. Someone who loves her sister so much she'll work herself to death trying to save her. He reached across the table, his hand covering mine. Someone who deserves protection and partnership instead of having to provide both for herself. The touch sent awareness cascading through me, warm and electric and complicated. This arrangement you're proposing, these public appearances, what exactly would they look like? Dinner functions. Charity galas. Business meetings where having a companion projects stability. Occasionally accompanying me to family gatherings. He traced circles on my palm with his thumb. We'd be seen together. Photographed. There would be gossip about who you are, why I chose you. You'd need to be comfortable with that scrutiny. I'm nobody. I'm a waitress with a sick sister and a dead-end life. Why would anyone care who you're dating? Because I'm someone people pay attention to. Because my romantic life has been deliberately private for years. Because appearing to settle down with someone signals business stability to associates who've been pressuring me toward marriage. His thumb continued its slow circles. You're perfect precisely because you're nobody in my world. You have no agenda, no family connections to leverage, no reason to be with me except genuine interest. That authenticity is what sells the performance. So I'm a prop. You're a partner, he corrected gently. In a mutually beneficial arrangement that solves problems for both of us. I've been honest about that from the beginning. I looked down at our joined hands. His was larger, warmer, marked with calluses that suggested he did more than sign papers. There was strength in his grip but also restraint. He held my hand like something precious rather than something owned. I need to talk to my sister, I said finally. Lily's 16. Smart enough to understand what's happening. I can't make this decision without at least telling her. Of course. Dante released my hand, though something in his expression suggested he didn't want to. When would you like to have that conversation? Tonight. After I pick her up from her treatment appointment. I checked my phone, 2:45. I need to call my other job, tell them I can't make my shift. Already handled. At my sharp look, he raised a hand. I called the manager at Rocky's bar, explained that you had a family emergency. He was surprisingly understanding once I offered to cover tonight's lost wages plus a week's worth of shifts. You what? I called your second job. You can't be in 2 places at once, Maya, and you needed to be here having this conversation with me more than you needed to be serving drunk men cheap beer. He pulled out his wallet, extracting several bills. This should cover tonight's lost income plus tomorrow's expenses. Consider it advance payment against the contract. I stared at the money, more than I'd make in 3 shifts at Rocky's, then at Dante's calm expression. You're very presumptuous. I'm very certain. There's a difference. He pushed the bills across the table. Take it. Buy yourself dinner that isn't from a diner. Buy Lily something that makes her smile. Take a taxi instead of the bus. Accept that for the next 8 months, you're under my care. I haven't agreed yet. No. But you will. He smiled, confident and devastatingly certain. Because you're practical enough to recognize a lifeline when one's offered. Because you're brave enough to take a risk on an uncertain future rather than accepting a certain decline. Because somewhere between that gas station and right now, you started trusting me despite every reason not to. He was right. Damn him, but he was right. Somewhere in the past 4 days, Dante Moretti had gone from dangerous stranger to potential salvation. The realization should have terrified me. Instead, it felt like relief. I'll give you my answer tomorrow, I said, tucking the money into my purse. After I talk to Lily. That's all I ask. He signaled for the check. I'll drive you to pick her up. Where's the treatment center? You don't have to. Maya. The way he said my name stopped my protest. Let me help. Let me be useful. That's what this arrangement is about, you accepting help and me providing it. Start practicing now. So I let him drive me to St. Catherine's Medical Center where Lily spent 3 afternoons a week receiving the chemotherapy that was slowly, hopefully, saving her life. Let him wait in the parking lot while I went inside to collect my baby sister who looked so much older than 16 after 6 months of treatment. Lily's eyes went wide when she saw the Mercedes. Whose car is that? A friend's. Long story. I helped her into the back seat, noting how thin she'd gotten, how the scarf covering her hair slipped slightly to reveal skin too pale. How was treatment? Same as always. Exhausting. She settled against the leather seats with a sigh. But Dr. Morrison says my numbers look good. 2 more months and I might be done. 2 more months. The same timeline I'd given Dante. The universe arranging itself into patterns I hadn't expected. Dante drove us home with careful attention to potholes and rough pavement, like he understood that Lily's body was fragile. When we arrived at our building, he got out to help her from the car. I'm Dante, he said, offering his hand. A friend of your sister's. Lily. She shook his hand, her shrewd 16-year-old gaze cataloging everything about him. Nice car. You must be a very good friend to drive Maya around in it. I try to be useful. His smile was gentle, different from the controlled danger I'd seen before. With Lily, he softened somehow, became more human. It was nice meeting you. After we'd climbed the 3 flights to our apartment and I'd settled Lily on the couch with her medications and water, she looked at me with knowing eyes. So, who is he really? I told her everything. The gas station, Tyler's escalation, Dante's proposition. The contract with its impossible money and 8-month commitment. The choice I was being asked to make between staying in our struggling present or stepping into an uncertain future with a man I barely knew. Lily listened without interrupting, her expression cycling through concern, calculation, and something that might have been hope. He's offering to pay my medical bills, she said finally. All of them. That's part of the compensation, yes. And keep Tyler away from you. He says he can make Tyler disappear completely. Lily was quiet for a long moment, her thin fingers plucking at the blanket I'd draped over her legs. Do you like him? Dante. The question surprised me with its directness. I don't know him well enough to like or not like him. But you trust him. Otherwise you wouldn't be considering this. Her eyes, too old for 16, studied me carefully. You trust him more than you trusted Tyler, even at the beginning. She was right. I'd never trusted Tyler the way I was already trusting Dante, which made no logical sense. Tyler had been safe, conventional, exactly the kind of man I was supposed to end up with. Dante was dangerous, connected to crime, offering arrangements instead of relationships. But Tyler's safety had been an illusion that turned into a cage. At least Dante was honest about the bars. I think I might trust him, I admitted. Which is insane. Or intuition. Lily smiled slightly. Maya, you've been drowning trying to save me. Working yourself to death, giving up everything. This Dante is offering you a life raft. Maybe it's not perfect, maybe it comes with complications. But you're already dealing with complications. At least these complications come with resources. You're 16. You're supposed to tell me this is a terrible idea. I'm 16 with cancer. That makes you grow up fast. She reached for my hand. Take his offer. Move into his penthouse where you'll be safe from Tyler. Let him pay the medical bills. Do the 8 months of playing dress up at fancy parties. Then when it's over and I'm healthy, you can go back to your real life with savings and security and no psycho ex-boyfriend. What if it doesn't work that way? What if Dante is worse than Tyler? Then you leave. You're not trapped, Maya. You never were, you just felt trapped because Tyler made you believe you had no choices. But you do. You have this choice right now. Take it. I looked at my little sister, so much wiser than her years, and felt something shift inside me. The fear that had been holding me back, the certainty that accepting Dante's offer meant surrendering control, started to crack like ice under spring sun. Maybe control was an illusion anyway. Maybe the only real choice was whether to drown alone or accept help from someone powerful enough to keep me afloat. I pulled out my phone and texted Dante, I accept. When do we start? His response came within seconds, tomorrow. I'll pick you up at 10 a.m. Pack what matters. Everything else can be replaced. I showed Lily the message. She squeezed my hand, her smile tired but genuine. See? You made a choice. You took a risk. I'm proud of you. I'm terrified. Good. That means you're alive. She leaned back against the cushions, exhaustion pulling at her features. Now help me to bed and then go pack. Tomorrow your life changes. Might as well be ready for it. That night, I lay awake staring at my ceiling, listening to Lily's breathing in the next room. Thinking about gas stations and Mercedes and a man whose dark eyes seemed to see straight through every wall I'd ever built. Tomorrow I'd step into Dante Moretti's world. Tomorrow I'd trade my struggling independence for protected partnership. Tomorrow I'd become someone I didn't recognize yet, the kind of woman who attended galas and rode in expensive cars and pretended to be involved with a man who casually admitted to criminal connections. Tomorrow I'd either save myself or destroy myself in ways I couldn't yet imagine. But tonight, for the first time in 6 months, I felt something other than exhaustion and fear. I felt hope. Dante's penthouse occupied the entire top floor of a building in downtown Los Angeles that had been featured in architecture magazines. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city like a kingdom waiting to be claimed. The furniture was modern and expensive, all clean lines and neutral colors that suggested professional design rather than personal touch. But what struck me most was the space. So much space after years of cramped apartments where Lily and I had lived on top of each other. Space to breathe, to think, to exist without constantly bumping into the edges of poverty. Your suite is through here. Dante led me down a hallway lined with abstract art that probably cost more than my entire education. He opened a door to reveal a bedroom larger than my old apartment's living room and kitchen combined. King-sized bed, walk-in closet, attached bathroom with a tub I could actually stretch out in. Windows facing east so morning light would wake me gently. This is too much, I whispered. This is appropriate. He set down the 2 boxes I'd packed, everything that mattered fit into 2 boxes, which said something devastating about my life. You'll need clothes for the events we'll attend. I've arranged for a stylist to come tomorrow. She'll take your measurements, understand your preferences, create a wardrobe that feels like you while fitting my world. I can't afford designer clothes. You're not paying for them. I am. He moved to the windows, looking out over Los Angeles. This arrangement only works if you're comfortable, Maya. If you feel like yourself rather than playing dress up in someone else's costume. The clothes, the jewelry, the styling, they're tools, not transformations. I joined him at the window, staring at the city sprawling below like a circuit board of light and possibility. When do we start? The appearances, I mean. Tonight, actually. He turned to face me, his expression apologetic. I know you just moved in, I know you're exhausted. But my mother is hosting a family dinner and she's been asking pointed questions about my personal life. Arriving with you will answer those questions definitively. Tonight? Dante, I don't have anything appropriate to wear, I don't know how to act around your family, I don't. Maya. His hands settled on my shoulders, warm and grounding. Breathe. The stylist left several options in your closet this morning. I had her bring things in advance based on photos and general sizing. You'll find something that works. As for how to act, be yourself. That's all I'm asking. Be the woman who locked herself in a gas station closet fleeing her ex. Be honest, genuine, a little nervous if you need to be. My family will find that refreshing. Your family is going to think I'm with you for your money. Let them think what they want. His thumb stroked along my collarbone, the touch sending awareness cascading through me. Their opinions don't change our arrangement. But for the record, my mother is shrewd enough to recognize authenticity. She'll see through performance. Your honesty will serve you better than any act. I found a dress in the closet that didn't look like it cost a month's rent, simple black silk that fell to my knees, elegant without being ostentatious. Paired with the heels the stylist had left, I looked like someone who might actually belong in Dante's world. Almost. Lily had moved into the penthouse's second guest room that afternoon while I'd been meeting with Dante's lawyers to sign the actual contract. She'd been delighted by everything, the space, the view, the kitchen with appliances that actually worked. Watching her explore had made the strangeness of this arrangement feel worthwhile. Now she emerged from her room as I was attempting to fix my hair into something presentable, took one look at me, and smiled. You look beautiful. Like Cinderella going to the ball. Cinderella's story didn't end well if you read the original versions. Good thing you're writing your own version then. She moved to help with my hair, her thin fingers surprisingly deft. Dante seems nice. Dangerous, but nice. He brought my medications up from the pharmacy without being asked. Had them organized by schedule in my bathroom. He did. Also stocked the kitchen with things I can actually eat. The nausea-friendly stuff Dr. Morrison recommended. Lily met my eyes in the mirror. He's paying attention, Maya. That means something. It meant he was thorough. It meant he took care of details. It meant. I didn't know what it meant except that my chest felt tight thinking about Dante organizing medications for a 16-year-old he'd just met. Dante appeared in my doorway at 7 precisely, wearing a charcoal suit that made him look like sin and salvation in equal measure. His eyes swept over me, something flickering in their depths that made my skin warm. Perfect, he said quietly. You look perfect. I look terrified. That too. But perfectly terrified. He offered his hand. Ready to meet the Moretti family. The drive to his mother's house took 40 minutes, heading into the hills where houses became estates and wealth whispered rather than shouted. Dante's mother lived in a sprawling Mediterranean villa that looked like it had been transplanted from Tuscany, complete with gardens and fountains and the kind of old money elegance that couldn't be bought, only inherited. How many people will be here? I asked as we pulled through gates that opened automatically. Small gathering. Mother, my uncle Carlo, probably my cousins Sophia and Marco. Maybe 8 people total. He glanced at me. They're going to ask questions. Some pointed, some simply curious. Answer honestly when you can, deflect gracefully when you can't. And Maya. Don't mention Tyler unless asked directly. My family doesn't need to know about your ex-boyfriend stalking, they need to see you as my choice, not my rescue project. The distinction felt important somehow. I nodded, trying to calm the butterflies rioting in my stomach. Dante's mother was waiting in the foyer when we entered, a striking woman in her early 60s with silver-streaked dark hair and the same intense eyes as her son. She assessed me with a single sweeping glance that felt like being X-rayed. Dante. She embraced him with obvious affection before turning that penetrating gaze on me. And this must be the mysterious Maya I've been hearing about. Hearing about from whom? Dante's tone was mild but his posture shifted subtly, protective. I haven't mentioned Maya to anyone. Marco saw you at Luciano's yesterday. Said you were having lunch with a very pretty young woman and looking remarkably attentive. His mother smiled at me, warm but assessing. I'm Isabella Moretti. Welcome to my home. Thank you for having me, Mrs. Moretti. I shook her hand, noting the firm grip that suggested strength despite her elegant appearance. Isabella, please. Mrs. Moretti makes me sound ancient. She linked her arm through mine, steering me toward the sound of conversation and music. Come, let me introduce you to the family. They're all dying of curiosity about who finally captured my son's notoriously private attention. The evening unfolded like walking through a minefield disguised as a dinner party. Dante's family was warm but watchful, asking questions that seemed casual but probed for weaknesses, inconsistencies, reasons to doubt my authenticity. They wanted to know how we met, what I did for work, where I was from, what my intentions were toward their golden son. I answered honestly, as Dante had instructed. We'd met by chance. I worked as a waitress. I grew up in Los Angeles. My intentions were simply to see where things went between us. I wasn't looking for anything except companionship with someone who made me feel safe. That last answer made Isabella pause mid-sip of her wine. Safe. An interesting word choice. Is it? I met her eyes steadily. I don't think it's unusual to want safety in a relationship. No, but most women your age talk about passion, excitement, chemistry. Safety suggests you've experienced its absence. Her gaze sharpened. Have you, Maya, experienced feeling unsafe? Dante's hand found mine under the table, squeezing gently. Warning or comfort, I wasn't sure. I've experienced enough to know it matters, I said carefully. Your son makes me feel like I don't have to constantly look over my shoulder. That's valuable. Something shifted in Isabella's expression, not quite approval, but recognition. Like I'd passed a test I hadn't known I was taking. The conversation moved on to safer topics, but I caught her watching me throughout dinner with new interest. After the meal, Isabella invited me to see her garden while the men discussed business over grappa. We walked among night-blooming jasmine and roses that probably cost more to maintain than my monthly salary used to be. You're not what I expected, Isabella said finally, her voice carrying no judgment, just observation. What did you expect? Someone more polished. More calculated. Women who pursue my son usually have agendas written across their foreheads. She stopped beside a fountain, moonlight catching in the water. You have an agenda too, of course. Everyone does. But yours feels simpler. More honest. I'm not pursuing your son. He pursued me. Did he? Isabella smiled slightly. Dante doesn't pursue. He identifies opportunities and exploits them. So what opportunity did you represent, I wonder? The question hung between us like a challenge. I could deflect, could maintain the performance. Or I could trust the instinct that said Isabella Moretti would respect honesty more than artifice. I needed help, I admitted. He needed someone genuine. We're solving problems for each other. Ah. She nodded, satisfied. Transaction disguised as romance. Very Dante. Very practical. She studied me in the moonlight. The question is whether the transaction stays clean or becomes complicated by messy things like actual feelings. We have an arrangement. Clear boundaries. You have an arrangement now. Give it time. Isabella's smile turned knowing. I've watched my son carefully maintain distance from everyone for years. Protecting himself, protecting his position, protecting this family. Then you appear and suddenly he's bringing you to family dinners after knowing you less than a week. That's not arrangement behavior, Maya. That's instinct. And Dante's instincts are usually right. Before I could respond, Dante appeared from the house, his expression concerned. Everything all right? Perfectly fine. Just getting to know your Maya. Isabella patted my arm. She's lovely, Dante. Don't ruin this by overthinking it. I never overthink. You only think, which is worse. She kissed his cheek. Take her home. She looks exhausted, and you have that meeting tomorrow that you've been dreading. The drive back to the penthouse was quiet. I was processing the evening, trying to understand the dynamics I'd witnessed, the questions I'd been asked, the way Dante's family had assessed me like I was a potential investment. You did beautifully, Dante said finally. My mother likes you, which is rare. Uncle Carlo thinks you're genuine, which is rarer. Sophia wants to take you shopping, which means you passed some test I don't even understand. Your mother thinks we're going to catch feelings. My mother thinks everything leads to feelings. She's a romantic disguised as a pragmatist. He glanced at me. But she's also usually right about people. We rode the elevator up to the penthouse in silence. My feet ached from the unfamiliar heels, my face hurt from smiling, my brain felt overloaded from tracking conversations and subtext. All I wanted was to collapse into that enormous bed and sleep for 12 hours. But when we entered the penthouse, everything changed. The living room had been destroyed. Furniture overturned, cushions slashed, Dante's expensive artwork torn from walls and shattered on the floor. And spray-painted across the windows in dripping red letters, "She's mine." I stopped breathing. Dante went very still beside me, his hand moving to his phone with careful control even as his expression turned to ice. "Stay here," he said quietly. "Don't move. Don't touch anything. Tyler." My voice came out as a whisper. "He found me. He knows I'm here. He knows you're somewhere associated with me. He doesn't necessarily know you live here." Dante was already calling someone, speaking rapid Italian that I couldn't follow. But yes, this is escalation. This is him declaring war. Men in suits arrived within minutes, security, I realized, Dante's private security. They swept the penthouse with professional efficiency while Dante kept me in the hallway, his body positioned between me and any potential threat. "All clear," one of them reported in accented English. "No one here now." Forced entry through the service elevator. Building security was disabled approximately 2 hours ago. Find who disabled it. Find how Tyler Walsh got access to this building. Find everything. Dante's voice was cold, controlled fury barely contained. And put full protection detail on Ms. Torres and her sister immediately. No one gets near them without my explicit approval. Lily emerged from her room, drawn by the commotion. She took one look at the destruction and her face went white. "Oh my God. Maya, is this Tyler?" "Yes." I moved to her, pulling her close. "We're okay. We're safe. Dante's handling it." "Handling it how?" Lily's voice shook. "He broke into a penthouse building. He destroyed everything. He's escalating, Maya. Dr. Morrison warned me about stress-affecting treatment. I can't." She dissolved into tears, her thin body shaking. My sister, who'd faced cancer with such bravery, who'd encouraged me to take this risk, was breaking under the weight of Tyler's violence. Dante appeared beside us, his expression softening as he looked at Lily. "You're both coming with me. There's a safe house, completely secure. You'll stay there tonight while I handle this situation permanently." "Permanently?" I looked up at him. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm done being patient with Tyler Walsh. It means he just made a mistake that will cost him everything." Dante's eyes were black with fury. "It means by tomorrow morning, he'll understand that touching what's mine has consequences he can't survive." The safe house was an apartment in a building I didn't recognize, armed security at every entrance. Dante settled us in a bedroom with locks on the inside of the door and his personal number programmed into both our phones. "I'll be back by morning," he said, his hand gentle on my cheek despite the violence burning in his eyes. "Sleep if you can. You're safe here. I promise you that, Maya. You and Lily are safe. What are you going to do to him? What needs to be done?" He pressed a kiss to my forehead, intimate and claiming. "Trust me to handle this." "Can you do that?" I should have said no. Should have demanded details, insisted on involving police, refused to let him disappear into the night to do God knew what to Tyler. But looking at my sister's tear-stained face, at the fear neither of us should have to live with, I found myself nodding. "Make him stop," I whispered. "Whatever it takes, make him stop. Consider it done." Dante left and I held Lily while she cried herself to sleep, whispering promises I wasn't sure I could keep about safety and futures and everything being okay. Morning came with pale light and Dante's return. He looked exhausted, his suit rumpled, his knuckles bruised. But his eyes held satisfaction when he found me awake in the safe house living room. "It's done," he said simply. "What did you do?" "Tyler Walsh is currently on a plane to his parents' vacation home in Connecticut. He'll remain there for the foreseeable future under what amounts to house arrest enforced by people his father hired to keep him contained. Dante sat beside me, his hand finding mine. I spoke to Robert Walsh. Explained that his son had been stalking you, had broken into my home, had threatened violence. Showed him security footage, police reports you'd filed, evidence of escalating behavior. Tyler doesn't have police reports. I never filed any. You did now. Backdated appropriately. His smile was cold. Robert Walsh is a pragmatic man. When presented with evidence of his son's criminal behavior and the alternative of that evidence becoming very public very quickly, he made the smart choice. Tyler is now his problem, under supervision, with access to therapy and anger management. If he attempts to contact you again, if he leaves Connecticut without permission, the evidence goes to prosecutors and Tyler faces actual charges. I stared at him, trying to process what he'd accomplished in one night. You made Tyler's father imprison his own son. I gave Robert Walsh an option that protects his family's reputation while ensuring his son gets help he clearly needs. Win-win. Dante's thumb stroked my palm. Tyler won't bother you again, Maya. That's guaranteed. And your penthouse is being completely renovated and upgraded with security that not even I could breach. You're safe. Lily's safe. It's over. The relief hit me like a wave, so intense I couldn't breathe around it. 3 months of fear, 3 months of looking over my shoulder, 3 months of Tyler's shadow following me everywhere, gone. Erased by one night of Dante Moretti deciding I was worth protecting. Thank you, I managed, tears spilling down my cheeks. God, Dante, thank you. He pulled me into his arms, holding me while I cried. His shirt absorbed my tears, his hand stroked my hair, his voice murmured reassurances in Italian that I didn't understand but felt in my bones. When I finally pulled back, his dark eyes searched mine. This arrangement we have, the 8 months, the contract, the clear boundaries. I want to renegotiate. My heart stuttered. What? I want you to stay. Not for 8 months. Not as an arrangement. Just stay, Maya. Be with me because you want to, not because you need protection or money or security. His hands framed my face. I know it's fast. I know we barely know each other. But somewhere between that gas station and right now, this stopped being transaction and became something real. At least for me. Dante, we've known each other less than a week. I've known you long enough to know I don't want you leaving after 8 months. Long enough to know that when I saw Tyler's message on my windows, my first thought wasn't about property damage, it was about you being frightened. Long enough to know that watching you with my family, seeing you comfort your sister, hearing you laugh, it all feels like something I don't want to lose. I looked at this man who'd appeared in my life like an answer to prayers I hadn't known how to form. Who'd protected me without demanding I give up myself. Who'd made space for my sister and organized medications and destroyed my ex-boyfriend's ability to harm me with nothing but phone calls and leverage. I need time, I said finally. To figure out what's real and what's gratitude and what's just relief that Tyler's gone. Can you give me that? I can give you anything you need. He pressed his forehead to mine. Take your time. Live in the penthouse. Keep playing your role at my functions. Let this arrangement be exactly what we contracted. And if 8 months from now you want to leave, I'll honor that. But Maya, I'm hoping you'll choose to stay. The next 6 months passed like a dream I kept expecting to wake from. Dante was patient, never pushing beyond our arrangement's boundaries even as the lines between performance and reality blurred. We attended galas where his hand at my waist felt protective rather than possessive. We had breakfast together where conversation flowed easily about everything and nothing. We existed in his penthouse like roommates who were slowly becoming something more. Lily thrived in our new environment. Her treatments continued with the best oncologists money could access. Her strength returned gradually, color coming back to her cheeks, laughter replacing the exhausted silence. Watching her heal made every complicated feeling about Dante worth it. I kept working at the diner despite Dante's protests that I didn't need to. But the diner was mine, my independence, my identity beyond being Dante Moretti's mysterious companion. Marcus had my back, knew my story, kept Tyler's name off the schedule of people allowed inside. And slowly, terrifyingly, I fell in love. Not with Dante's money or protection or the fairy tale life he'd given us. But with the man underneath, the one who played piano at 3 a.m. when he couldn't sleep, who checked on Lily without being asked, who looked at me like I was precious rather than convenient. The realization hit during a charity gala 6 months into our arrangement. We were dancing, his arms around me, when he leaned down and whispered, "You look beautiful tonight." But then, you always do. Dante. I know. I know we're supposed to keep boundaries. I know this is arrangement and performance in clear terms. His hand tightened on my waist. But Maya, I'm tired of pretending this isn't real. I'm tired of holding back what I feel because of some contract we signed when we barely knew each other. What do you feel? That you're the best thing that's happened to me in years. That coming home to you and Lily feels right in a way nothing else does. That I want to keep you, not because of any arrangement, but because I can't imagine my life without you in it now. The confession hung between us like a bridge over the gap we'd been maintaining. I could retreat to safety, could remind him about boundaries and contracts and the careful distance we'd agreed to maintain. Or I could step onto that bridge and admit what I'd been feeling for months. I love you, I whispered. I don't know when it happened exactly. Maybe that first night when you organized Lily's medications. Maybe when you destroyed Tyler's ability to hurt me. Maybe yesterday when you brought home flowers just because. But it happened, Dante. This stopped being arrangement and became real. His kiss was gentle, reverent, full of restrained intensity that made my toes curl. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he smiled against my lips. "Marry me," he said. "Not for arrangement or appearance or strategy. Marry me because you love me and I love you and we've built something worth keeping." That's insane. We've only known each other 6 months. I knew after 1 week. The rest was just waiting for you to catch up. His thumb stroked my cheek. "Marry me, Maya Torres. Let me spend the rest of my life protecting you and Lily and whatever family we build together." I should have said we needed more time. Should have suggested waiting until Lily finished treatment, until the arrangement officially ended, until we'd proven this wasn't just Stockholm Syndrome or gratitude disguised as love. Instead I said yes. We married 3 months later in Isabella's garden with only family present. Lily was my maid of honor, healthy and radiant and crying through the entire ceremony. Dante looked at me like I was the only person in the world, his vows promising protection and partnership and love in equal measure. The arrangement that was supposed to last 8 months transformed into forever. The transaction became truth. The dangerous stranger who'd appeared at a gas station became my husband, my partner, my home. Tyler sent a card from Connecticut, stiff congratulations suggesting his therapy was working, or at least teaching him when to retreat. I threw it away without reading past the first line. He was my past. Dante was my future. Standing in Dante's arms, my husband's arms, with Lily healthy and laughing and our future stretching bright before us, I thought about that terrified girl in the gas station who'd accepted help from a stranger. She'd been brave without knowing it. She'd taken a risk that saved her life in ways she couldn't have predicted. Sometimes salvation came in expensive suits and dangerous smiles. Sometimes protection looked like control until you learned to recognize the difference. Sometimes arrangements became real love when you stopped running and started trusting. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story. What are you thinking about? Dante murmured against my temple as we swayed to music only we could hear. About gas stations and second chances and how the best things sometimes begin with the worst moments. Regrets? Not a single one. I tilted my face up to kiss him, this man who'd saved me by letting me save myself. Not one, husband. Good. His smile was devastating, dangerous, devoted. Because you're stuck with me now, Mrs. Moretti. Forever. Forever sounded perfect.